Welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Eric Rassi, automotive instructor of the automotive program here at Ogden Weber Technical College. Customer complaint is this car runs a little bit rough, particularly idle, a little bit of surge at idle, and poor fuel economy. So their engine's eating up more fuel than what they like. What we're going to do is we're going to pull a spark plug, and then we'll talk a little bit about the ignition system and some things you can look at to identify faults. So there is some clips. I rotated about a quarter turn to take off this showpiece here. What I'm going to do is remove one of these coils. I'll do this one here. They're each held in on some vehicles with a bolt. These ones are just fastened in under pressure of a boot. So we'll just have to use a little bit of muscle and twisting ability to get that out. Also, this electrical connector, you pull or pinch the tab on the back side of it and kind of wiggle it loose, and it comes right off. Then I'm going to twist this ignition coil and pull it off. You can kind of feel it pop as it lost that suction. Now, there are specialty sockets that you want to use to remove spark plugs. They are made out of, in part, porcelain, and porcelain is fragile, so there is a specialty socket. A lot of them will have a 5/8 hex head, but inside here there's a rubber boot that cushions that porcelain, so when you put pressure on that spark plug when loosening or tightening, it doesn't crack it. So I'm going to steady it with my left hand and loosen it. And after I've loosened it a couple turns, I'm just going to twist it out. It's a little bit black, almost powdery black, like a little bit of dried charcoal. There's a couple instances where you could have black on a spark plug and it'd be a not good thing. One would be like this, which is an indication of a rich condition where you're having too much fuel or gasoline molecules as compared to the amount of molecules of air that are entering the engine. So that charge is too heavy on fuel and you'll get this powdery stuff. So definitely this engine's running rich. If it were black and kind of oily to the touch, then your engine would be burning some oil. Now this spark plug is worn out, but it's a good indication of a spark plug that's burning clean. This is normally operating, it's very light golden brown, maybe a little whitish tinge. That engine's running pretty good as compared to this one. Another thing I want to look at is not just this end where the spark fires, but the other end that connects to my boot. I want to look for carbon tracking. It might sound a little crude, but if a human got struck by a bolt of lightning, they'd be a little bit charred, and so I'm looking for that. This one looks good in that way. Even the one that I took out of the vehicle looks good. I look at this other example, it looks good until I get to that point. If you can see that little narrow black line. So what's happening in this case, when either the gap gets so wide from being worn out on the spark plug, or the boot around the porcelain becomes loose, it causes the spark to want to jump. Instead, across the gap on the spark plug, it jumps straight to ground on the outside of where the combustion chamber is, and then your engine starts misfiring, and the indication of it is this black line. We call it carbon tracking. I'm going to put this spark plug back in. I'm going to demonstrate how to put it in properly. So I'm going to place this spark plug back into my spark plug socket. I'm going to put it in and just hand tighten it until it becomes a little bit snug. And at that point, I'm going to get a different tool to tighten it than I did to remove it. I'm going to get a torque wrench because I don't want to over tighten this spark plug. You hear that click? It's properly tightened. A lot of people at this point will just shove the spark plug wire or coil back in place and call it good. What I like to do before I do that is install a little bit of dielectric grease. It doesn't harm rubber, and it acts as an added barrier insulator to fill in the gaps where the rubber doesn't. So we harness that energy, that spark where we want it. The boot itself has a harder time melting or molding to the spark plug with that grease in there. It gets slick and it's easier to remove them. So I'm going to place this in. I already have the dielectric grease installed. I'm going to place this in, kind of wiggle it in place until it comes back to the base. That should be good right there. And then this coil connector for the primary, I'm going to push on until it clicks, which it did right there. Just going to put this cover back on. So, there we go.